Hello and welcome back to Buzby Gaming. I'm Tony, and today we're going to do a little bit of a podcast. I haven't done one of these in a while. This one's going to be a little bit shorter. It's not that big. There's not that much gaming news going on. But the first thing I want to talk about is this Steam Deck. This thing just came out recently, and it's a pretty powerful little handheld for someone who grew up with Game Boy, and going through a bunch of AA batteries to being able to now play games on a handheld device. You can go on trips with and all. It's pretty amazing little package for me. Uh, One thing I do want to say is if you're on the fence about getting this, a good site to check out or a good channel to check out here on YouTube is Game Ranks. They do before you buys. I mean, a lot of people know that already, but they do non-biased reviews of these products, and so far it's been holding up pretty good, the scrutiny. There are a few little things that cause some problems and concerns, like Elden Ring, which is a brand new game, by the way, just came out and it was having problems on the Steam Deck, and Valve just recently fixed it to make it run a little better. Now it's not a universal fix. There are some visual bugs some users are reporting. Use 15% more RAM, this user said. They fixed it, but it's running in Vulkan and not DirectX 12, which is not that big of a deal, at least not to me. But yeah, overall, it's been patched to run this game, and just the fact that these little handhelds can run full-on PC games is astonishing to me. There was a video, and it was in that Game Ranks before you buy, where they were playing The Witcher 3 on there, and that's a pretty graphically intense game. And I didn't see a single frame drop. I mean, occasionally, like with another game that they showed off in there, was Assassin's Creed, the newest one. And it was dropping frames every once in a while. There was little hitches and things like that, but it was very much playable. And I personally have no real reason for this. Like if I went on like a trip or something, it might be something I'd check out. But for the price you're paying, I think it's like $300 or $400. You're getting a pretty good deal, and basically a little miniature PC that you can play games on. But moving on to the next thing I want to talk about was Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer wants gamers to treat developers with more dignity and respect. He's called on gamers to respect developers and fight back against toxicity in the industry. But here's the thing. And I actually tweeted this back to him because this originally was a story that was on Twitter. And I said that game developers will get respect from gamers if they start doing things like actually not announcing a game and then delaying it 4 or 5 times and releasing it like 3 years after its original announcement. It's one thing to hype a game up and get everybody excited about it. Rockstar, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about them here. They I think originally announced Grand Theft Auto 5 in like late 2011, and it didn't come out until like 2013. So I mean, they themselves are guilty of this. But another thing is that a lot of developers now have this mentality of push it out the door when it comes to games. Push it out the door, and we'll fix it later via patches. And that is pissing a lot of gamers off, myself included. I hate getting a game day one only to have it be like not really that playable. I mean, like you can play through it, but there's a bunch of glitches, and it takes a really long time. Again, in Rockstar's case, and we'll talk about it later, that they seem to take their sweet time getting the fixes out, and those fixes they implement end up breaking the game further in other areas. And it's just, it seems like playtesting isn't really on the forefront of game developers. They just want to make their title, push it out the door in beta, and let the public sort out all the issues, and then they have that mentality of release it now and fix it later. And they're charging full price. You're not paying for a green light game here on Steam. You're paying full AAA price. Sometimes that's like over $70 for these newer consoles. So these AAA games, when they release, everybody kind of expects it to be, overall playable, but maybe there'll be a little bit hitches here and there. But it seems like the more time goes on, the less stable these games are. And then you have another asshole moves that developers are doing, and they're releasing like worthless DLC, but it has like big perks. And I see this like play to win type things. So really, my official response here to Phil Spencer, asking gamers to respect developers, is give us a reason to respect the developers. Give us a reason to treat them the way they should be treated. Because right now, what they're doing is they're giving a unfinished product to the masses and expecting them to be happy about it. No, I mean, if you go buy a car from a dealership, brand new car, the 2023 model, and the engine blows in it, and you're like, oh, it's a software issue, it wasn't tested, you bring it back in, takes 6 months to fix, and then you get it back, and then like one of the fucking tires doesn't turn when it's like you fix one problem, you create another one. And that's kind of what's going on in the overall gaming industry with these developers. They're just not, I don't know if it's like an internal issue or if it's a higher up issue where they're like, hey, we need to meet our quota for game sales or whatever. But it's even right here down here, Dying Light just came out, I want to say in the last month, and it was playable. It was delayed a lot of times, so I mean, like, that time probably made it so that it was a little bit better than most. But to me, really, what a game developer should do is you should never announce a game more than 8 months away from release. We are living in a world now where shit like that don't fly. You can't really expect people to stay up and hyped about a game for more than a year, and you still have these developers that are, announcing a game like, and even again, Rockstar, I keep coming back to them. They announced that they're working on the next iteration of Grand Theft Auto, but they showed nothing. They showed nothing about it. And to me, I feel that was a way for them to combat Take-Two Interactive's stock. It took a little dip, and they needed something kind of news to push out to line their pockets a little bit. And it worked. It overall, it worked. They just made a tweet saying, oh, we'll have more information on it. We're working on it, so you guys can stop asking, basically. And it worked. It got like I want to say like 20%, 12%, something like that, increase in their stocks. So just that little announcement, that just shows you how much people want it. And I'm gonna go on and talk about more Rockstar here. I got Grand Theft Auto, the Definitive Edition Trilogy. I gotta say probably of the 3 games, the most stable one is Vice City, and that's not saying much. I said in the tweet here to them, at Grand Theft Auto DE, namely GTA 3, all I can say is, damn sure ain't definitive. And that's true, it's not. It's not a definitive edition. There's a lot of things that are missing from the original game. Certain animations, certain things, like I know in Staten Island, there's like metal bars that are by the hospital, and you try to drive between them and you hit like a solid wall. Like they're hit boxes, and the animations, it's not a definitive version of the game. It's just not. And I went on to say that this is like a mobile game studio tried to make their first big boy game and failed horribly. It's an embarrassment, which it is, and I'll explain a little bit more why later. And again, my previous statement where I said your fixes break the game more, and their staff needs to be replaced. And what I mean by staff overall is Grove Street Games. It seems like they really just wanted to test Grove Street Games, and every time, it used to be War Drum Studios, if I remember right. Maybe I could be wrong about that. But it seems like anytime Grove Street Games gets on with any kind of project, I think they did the 360 port of San Andreas, and it's broken. They don't seem to playtest their products anymore. And this right here, this article just goes on to show you. This is from Rockstar Support. It's Newswire thing talking about the 1.04 update for basically everything. Improves performance across all platforms, graphics mode, stability improvements, fixes several issues attempting and related to retry a mission from the last checkpoint, fixed a number of collision issues, fixed a number of texture and art signage issues. This right here is a fucking lie. It fixed, well, maybe it did fix a number of them, but that one that I'm still talking about where you're in the hospital at Staten Island and you try to leave, or Staunton Island, whatever the hell it's called, you run into a barrier that's not even there. And just to show you that, GTA 3 of this, supposed definitive edition has the most patches in this definitive edition patch for all consoles. It improves or fixed, and I use that word loosely, the most stuff that's wrong with that game. I want to say that Vice City has probably, like I said, it's the most stable one, and it has a lot of issues as well. But you can see its improvement list compared to GTA 3's, which takes up probably about a page and a half, and this is about 3/4 of a page. San Andreas is like probably the second most unstable of all of them, and that's the mentality. That's what Phil Spencer is wanting us to respect. He wants us to go along with this, and it's like, this is on March 8th. The game came out months ago, like 5-6 months ago now at this point, and the game has all these issues still. And this is the 1.4 patch, 1.04 patch, and all this shit is still like they didn't test it. They didn't play test the game before they released it. It's just like, hey, it looks good, it's playable, push it out the door. And I really want to blame Grove Street Games or Rockstar for that, but really I believe the issue with this is lying with Take-Two. Take-Two, they just want to line their pockets, which is probably why we're still playing Grand Theft Auto 5 for the third time, the third console generation that GTA 5 has come out in. And people are excited about the next iteration. I mean, they've been asking about it since like probably 4 or 5 years, maybe even, I'd probably say 3 years after GTA 5 came out. People were wanting a new Grand Theft Auto game. So much so that there's constant rumors. I mean, this is another, report, just from 2 weeks ago, but an industry analyst says GTA 6 will take players across the globe, numerous cities, and up to 500 hours of content, according to new rumors. Now, I don't think that 500 hours of content is unimaginable. Like, it's not something that's like impossible to do. It's damn sure not going to be 500 hours of story content, but it could be 500 hours. I don't think we're going to be going across the globe. I could see numerous cities happening in the next GTA game, but I believe that the rumors. That's all these are, rumors. And there was a big leak, probably 6-8 months ago, where a person on Reddit or 4chan, one of those community sites with fans and all, they released like a supposedly leaked map, and it was part of a video, and the community went and reconstructed the whole map from these 10-12 second videos. And it just shows you how the community of Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar Games as a whole is excited for a new Grand Theft Auto game. And I don't know if anybody here watching this has played the extended enhanced version, but it's not even called the extended enhanced version anymore. It's just the PS5 and Xbox Series S and X version. They removed the extended enhanced because there's nothing really extended about it, and the enhancements are pretty minimal. It just basically ups the resolution. There's a possibility for a fake ray tracing and 4K, but there's various different settings. I want to say there's 3 different settings, but it doesn't overall add anything to the Grand Theft Auto 5 community as a whole. Even more shocking is that when you go to transport your save files from GTA Online from one console generation to the next, it deletes your previous one. So if you have friends that are playing on PS4 or Xbox One, and you go to transfer it to these new console generations, you can't go back without creating a whole new character. So all of your progress, all your weapons, your level, your XP, all that just gone. It goes over the new console generation, and it's stuck there. And that's something that's pissing a lot of people off. I for one, don't really feel like I love Grand Theft Auto. That's why I'm so passionate about it. That's why I shit on Rockstar, because they're not the Rockstar that I grew up with. This isn't the Rockstar from 15 years ago. This is basically Take-Two's bitch. They are doing anything they can to make Strauss-Zelnick happy, and I feel that it's making things worse for fans. It's not having fans as their best interest. It's having Strauss-Zelnick's best interest. And anybody who's a fan of GTA is going to jump at the opportunity of any new release. So, for instance, if they came out with a Stories new release or extended, or not extended, but enhanced version on the HD for the consoles, for the PS5 and all that, and all they did was simply port the games over and made them playable on the new consoles and charged $50 for the pair, people would jump at that. I would want to play them because the only time I've ever played them was on PlayStation 2. I think I played them on PSP one time when my friend had them, and they're fun, and they're a great little thing to play. But the fact that Rockstar, or Take-Two rather, is charging a lot of money for simple ports is just ridiculous. I mean, I think it's like $40. I mean, like, if you don't jump in right now, if you wait a couple months, I think it's on discount, so I think you can get both of them for like probably $20, $10 a piece right now. And they're selling story and online for GTA 5 separately. I believe right now it's $10 a piece, and it's a little cheaper on PlayStation because they have some kind of, kiss-ass deal between the two of them. And that's another thing that makes fans pissed off, is that now all these developers are getting bought up by consoles. So we're just waiting for the other foot to drop, on these major titles like Grand Theft Auto, like Call of Duty, like all these consoles that are buying up these individual companies and all their subsidiaries and all that, and they're hoarding them for themselves. So you might have PlayStation 5 players that want to play the new Call of Duty, and they won't be able to because it's owned by Xbox. And I'm not saying that they're not going to release it. They might, but it's going to be probably later on down the line. So you might have a game that releases in, say, October of this year for Call of Duty, and it'll be on Xbox, and they probably won't release it for PS5 for like 6 months or a year. And that's how Xbox is going to, or even PlayStation with the developers that they got, how they're going to work that into making money for their overall company is they're gonna screw the players. So you're gonna end up having to buy a console that you don't want just to play games that you do. And that's why gamers are pissed off, because people want to play with their friends. They want to play games with their buddies. That's basically most people where they buy their console, what console they buy is based upon what their friends have, what their family has, who they're playing with. That is what makes them choose the console that they end up ultimately getting. So the fact that you're going to take these franchises and you're going to splinter them out, and it just makes the PC, in my opinion, the place to go, because you end up having things that are like, Grand Theft Auto, the definitive edition, with all these problems. And on the PC players are actually fixing all of the issues. But they shouldn't have to. And this is exactly what this article is saying. You bought the game. You paid full price. You shouldn't have to try and fix the game with mods. But the fact that, PC players are going to do what they're going to do. And the funny thing is that Take-Two will end up sending out, DMCA takedown notices for mods that fix their product. They want you to be in their pocket. That's the end-all be-all. That's the reason why all the mods got taken down. It wasn't even because, they'd been up at that point, some of them for over 10, 15 years. Like I know that the San Andreas Underground, I talked about this in the previous video. That game, that mod for San Andreas has been out for at least a decade. And Take-Two files a DMCA takedown notice on them saying, hey, we're going to take you to court. We're going to sue you unless you take down this mod. This is something that's been on the internet for a long-ass time. And it shows, like, instead of being that vindictive and, turning your fans into victims by filing, motions in court, listen to your fans. Honestly, right now, if Rockstar wanted to make money, like real good money, and wanted to hold people over until the next Grand Theft Auto, whatever it may be, whether it's 6 or whatever comes out, what they could do is they could actually go back to the 3D universe, which is GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, the stories games, and they can make an online version of that. So you have GTA Online, or GTA 3D Online, and they can go to old school Liberty City, Vice City, and San Andreas, and you just make like a 50, 100 player lobby, and you can fly from each city to the other. And you can even do that in the Rage engine. You don't need to make it like a Unreal Engine exclusive, or try to do it in the Unreal Engine like you did with the Definitive Edition. You could probably even do it in the RenderWare engine, because on PC they had multi-theft auto for not only GTA 3, Vice City, but they had it on San Andreas as well. So that's something that they easily could have, because they have those resources in their office, on their servers. They don't just develop a game and then delete all the files. That's not something that happens. They archive it so they can use it later on, which is how things like GTA Definitive Edition could even happen. They have those old files, so they can do things with them to make money and to make the community happy. So people want to play all those cities in 3D and jump, in a plane and fly from San Andreas to Vice City, or Vice City to Liberty City. And you could do that. They could easily do that. And even in GTA 5, there's mods where people are adding in like Liberty City and Vice City into GTA 5's map. So the PC community is doing through mods what the actual company itself should be doing. And that is adding more content, adding places to go. One of the main reasons why people are so frustrated with GTA 5, and not only just because it's entering it in its third console generation, but it's because they promised at the beginning when they made GTA Online that the map would expand, that they would add add-on content. And in half of that, they have added on, like, the Cayo Periso map. They did Heist, they did, the casino update. So they did add things, but it's still the same fucking city for the last 10 years. And people are just sick of it. If you drive around the same, like, if World of Warcraft had just a base map and never added expansions for new lands and, added up new levels, that game would have died a long time ago. But the only reason that GTA Online right now is going on is because it's a fun thing to play. I'm not saying it's not fun, but basically it's making Rockstar and other developers, for that matter, it's making them complacent. And when you're complacent, that just kills your creativity. You're not doing anything new. If you work at Rockstar right now, and the only other game that you made in the last 10 years was Red Dead Redemption 2, and odds are you didn't help make the entire game, you just helped with, say, animations or art or, map design. And that's all you did for the last 10 years, and the rest of the time you've been doing DLC and you've been, helping on little projects of, like the Definitive Edition, which I don't think Rockstar as a whole actually even helped with, because I don't think they would have let that leave the building in the condition it was in. But, speaking of, all these delays, and I'm going to go on to the next thing, just because I'm done talking about Rockstar. They have fallen from grace, in my opinion. I already made a video about, how the old Rockstar is dead, and the new guard is going to end up sinking the ship. So, I'm going to move on to Gotham Nights here. Steps Out of the Shadows with an October release date. This is a game that I think was announced, I want to say, like last summer, or maybe even the summer before. So we're doing another extended period of time from announcement to release. But I mean, COVID is mostly to blame for that, so you can't really be too upset at developers, this year or last year or the year before, overall, because, that worldwide pandemic slowed everything down and it messed release schedules for everything. So, this being delayed from the original launch window of the end of 2021, and it's being delayed into fall of this year. I'm hoping that it doesn't see another delay, because if it does, that may end up actually bricking the game. They may end up just killing off all their interest in the title from the community. But I want that game to succeed, because WB, they do make pretty good titles, and their last Batman title that they made was Arkham Origins, and it wasn't super well received, because everybody was wondering why Rocksteady wasn't making it, and it wasn't really holding to the canon of the story of the Arkham games. So, people were a little upset by that. Batman had certain abilities and unlocks and equipment that he shouldn't have had for another, 4 or 5 years. I want to say, the grapple boost that was introduced in Arkham City somehow was also available in Arkham Origins. So, just the little things like that make people believe that it's not necessarily canon. I believe that it is, but, it is what it is. They know what they're doing. They actually did the Batgirl DLC for Arkham Knight. So, but speaking of which, I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but Gotham Knight, they've been pretty poignant about noting that this isn't part of the Arkham universe. This is just its own little thing off to the side. Its own little contained story that's away from the Arkham universe. So that's something that's pretty cool, but that'll be coming in October, and I'm definitely going to get that October 25th of this year. I'm going to be playing that, so I'm a big Batman fan. And then another thing that was recently did at the State of Play was Hogwarts Legacies. The developer confirms that there's no microtransactions. Some people are saying, well, I've heard that before. Developers have promised before that there was no DLC or no expansions or anything like that. Then 3 months after launch, they end up changing their mind, and you got horse armor. But it's a good and bad thing. I mean, if you're wanting the game, everything, I think it's really shady. Back in the 360 PS3 days, they would have developers that actually had downloadable content that was actually on the game disc. Yeah, so you paid $60, you get a portion of the game, and then you had to pay an additional fee to unlock something that's already on like the data for is already on the disc that you own. It's just you had to pay to unlock it, and that's a really shady thing, and goes back to us talking about Phil Spencer wanting people to respect game devs. Well, be respectable. That's how you're going to get respect from gamers. Just be a game dev that is respectable. Another thing is, it was something that recently came out, and I'm just going to play this through here. This is from Gamebotics, and they are playing the new, or they're hosting the video that Game Informer did, where they were showing the gameplay of the new Saints Row game. And this is from, quite a while ago. And I think this is like a new updated video. Maybe it's, in 4K or something. I don't know. But this is from, this video is from back when the game was supposed to be releasing, I want to say February or March, something like that. It was supposed to be out the same day as Elden Ring, actually. And some game players like myself are believing that the main reason that Saints Row pushed their development or pushed their release date back was so that they're not competing with Elden Ring, because, well, any game that's going up against From Software is going to get their ass kicked, because, people like to be punished, I guess. But I haven't bought Elden Ring yet. I've seen people play it. I watch Let's Players on YouTube play it, and it seems pretty interesting. But I want to point out the fact that, this is pre-alpha footage supplied by Deep Silver. It says at the bottom of the screen, and it isn't representative of the final product. But this looks pretty good, and the fact that this game has been pushed to that's Gotham Nights, an August release date. This game has been pushed out to August, so you're talking like the end of summer. So it didn't get pushed, 3 months. It got pushed 6. So we're going from a game that should have been released in February, March to the end of summer. It just goes to show that people already got upset about this game when they were saying that everybody here is like dressed like a hipster, and it's Gen Z, and people are complaining about that. But I mean, it's a customizable character. The people in your crew, there's always been kind of a gambit of people in the Saints Row universe. Johnny Gat, and you got Mackenzie. Everybody was like, there was goth, there was tough bad dudes, and you always had a little bit of everybody. It was a mixing pot, and that's kind of something that seems to be a little bit lacking in this new Saints Row. But overall, I mean, I just from watching these videos of Game Informer's playthrough with it, I think it looks pretty good. It looks promising. There's some really cool wingsuit stuff, and I think that's a little bit later on. Let me see if I can find that. Maybe it's not in here. This is just like 15 minutes of gameplay, and that's somebody else's video. I'm gonna credit them in the description, but this game looks like it's done. For the fact that they're pushing it for 6 months. Either they're doing that to ensure that they don't have any competition, or they're doing it really just to polish the game. Really, maybe it's both. Like I said, they were going to release the same day as Elden Ring, and simply put, Saints Row would not have won against Elden Ring in the release war. They would have got mopped up. So, it was probably smart overall for them to move the date, but 6 months seems a little egregious. But anyway, that's all I have for this little tidbit of gaming news and opinion. If you guys want to see more videos like this, I'll put a playlist out there for all the podcasts we've done in the past. And it's not really even a podcast. I'm not putting it anywhere else other than YouTube. I'm just, talking about gaming news and my opinion. And sometimes people share it. Sometimes people have differing opinions. And I'm always up to hear people's opinions about stuff I've said or the overall gaming industry as a whole, because that's one thing that we all gotta get on the same page about. We are a community, and like it or not, you're associated with both the good and the bad part of gaming, and developers have to know that they have to know that, because they themselves have to be gamers. You can't have somebody who's not into gaming ending up making games. It just doesn't fit. It's like someone who hates movies or doesn't watch movies as being a film director. So they themselves know what they're doing is not worthy of the respect of the community. So that's why they're getting disrespected. But anyway, Game Botox, that's this is their video, so go ahead and subscribe to them. But anyway, that's the end of this podcast. I did a little short one today, around 36 minutes or so. But yeah, we'll see you next time. If you guys want to see Let's Plays or more of these podcast videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.